everybody, to Got a Lot on Our Minds, episode 20. My name is Stevie B. You can follow me on Instagram at StevieB_pod. Pod is short for podcasts, for those who have wondered. And for those, there's nobody's wondered. I'm just putting that out there. We want to thank today's sponsor for the show, brought to us by Coffee. Thank you, Coffee. We wouldn't be here without you. We love you. My co-host.
What's going on? I am Kellz. You can find me at Kellz55 on the social medias. On TikTok, though, it's actually _Kellz55 or Kellz_55 because somebody took the Kellz55 already, so I was a little bit behind the game, but trying to use that. So find me.
Fucking take that back.
Yes, take it back. Definitely. And then we got our co-host. This is my boy. We met at St. John's. He's on the Frisbee team. We were playing Savage together. So many games, so many deadly days of just, putting it all out there on the field. And then obviously we are in the same field, television, film. So shout out my boy Andreas Wu. Glad to have you.
Woo! Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me. Yes, just following up on Chris. Yeah, started Frisbee at St. John's just because I used to play basketball in high school, but, I came to America and I didn't want to get dunked on and, end my career there. So I stopped early and started playing Frisbee. But enough of that tangent. Yes, my name is Andreas Wu. Not too much going on, especially with COVID, but my Instagram is AndreasYCW. So you can follow me there. I'm sure in your graphics you can put my spelling of my name because there's just so many variations of my name going around the Spanish way, Greek way, German way. But I trust you guys.
Got you. But yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to have you. So obviously being in the same field, you've been affected by this COVID. How has your journey kind of been?
It's been interesting, to say the least. I had things like lined up pretty solid because just a little backstory. In 2019, I had decided to make the move with my girlfriend to Europe, and I went there, to support her. She had a pretty good gig in a museum in the south of France, and because of the nature of my work, I could pretty much like work from anywhere or work from home, or in my case, I was doing like live streaming for like tennis gigs in Europe. So I was like, that works out. I'll support you. I don't speak a lick of French, but I'll do what I can. So we went there for like the whole of 2019, and then gigs weren't really panning out for me there, and the guys that I thought would be consistent with jobs for me, then pulled through. So I was like, I'll just come back to New York. I have consistent connections here. Why don't I come back and start doing some gigs?
You left
Fast
her in
forward
Europe?
to pretty much. But I don't know if Chris knows, but I sort of have like a connection with my mom and the airlines, so
No, I know.
it's a little easier
It's
for
easier.
me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy and be like, oh yeah, I get all these perks. I'm grateful for it, but I use it, as much as I can so that,
Well, Andreas, let me not to cut you off. There's nothing wrong with being that guy, right? If you have those perks, you have those perks. Nobody's mad at you. The only thing I'm going to say is, what do I have to do to get in that inner circle to get those perks? That's where I'm going here, okay?
Don't worry, we'll get there by the end of this podcast. I'll have the hookup.
Fucking A, baby. That's right.
Get a
I'll
sponsorship.
find something that's good for your end too. I'll figure something out here.
Coffee, you're no longer
I can't
sponsored.
disclose. Yeah, I can't disclose the airline just to protect my mom's career. So, but yeah, that was sort of me leaving her there. You know, I think she's cool with it. She said she's cool with it, but you know how they are. They can just like, say something and in the back of their minds like, no, it's not okay.
Oh,
But anyway,
absolutely. I hope my wife doesn't
um,
listen to this.
yeah. So I came back and I had all these things lined up. I was doing college basketball. I was doing I was about to have a soccer tournament in Texas for like a week, and
So,
this
really quick, I'm
tournament
sorry.
was set for March. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry that I keep interrupting you. When you said you're doing college basketball, you're doing this. What? Tell the audience like what you do. Break down like what
Sorry,
kind of like
yeah.
what you're doing for college basketball.
So I'm doing I'm a camera operator for live stream for broadcasts. So like CBS or NBC sports broadcasting, I'm like the camera operator. I'll go shoot whatever, they need me to do. But usually I'll for basketball, I'll be the guy under the basket, taking the hits. Or for soccer, I'll be the guy, in the stands, shooting from far away with these big lenses and stuff like that.
I'm sure your job is very stressful and it's very high demanding, and I'm sure the schedule is probably crazy because you go on the game schedule. You know what I mean? You don't make kind of like it's not like a regular 9 to 5 and shit. But it sounds like you have a really cool fucking job, man. Good for you.
Thanks, man. It's been all right. I enjoy it because I get to, I enjoy sports and watching sports. But actually, over the years, I've grown into that point where it's like I really don't watch that much sports on TV unless it's really for research. Like, oh, how did this camera guy shoot this? Or, oh, how did he whip to the ball so fast? But yeah, it's followed me from college, and I've stuck with it, and it's been paying the bills, so I can't complain.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. That's really dope.
It's actually funny because I give him a lot of credit because Andreas got me the Westchester Knicks job, and being that I only went once, I was under the basket, and you don't think about it at the time, like when you're just watching, but the little like square box that you're confined to is probably like the most stressful thing because I am not a flexible person, so I had to stay there. And I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot say if I got like any clean shots because the whole time I was like, yo, I'm so uncomfortable that I was just trying to stay pretzel style, which I can't do, and also shoot. I think I sweat so much that day. It was it was a lot. So I give a credit to the operators.
They reviewed his footage and they're like, "This sweaty guy's footage sucks. Get him out of here."
Probably this guy's shaking uncontrollably. Oh,
Yeah, but
I still appreciate
to be honest,
that.
it's pretty. It was a unique situation because it was the G League or D League before Gatorade took over, and their budget wasn't the greatest, and it was the Westchester County Center. They had like all their own rules and stuff like that. But if you get a chance, I don't know, if you went to, let's say, a Knicks game or a Nets game and you saw from the stands where those camera operators are, they're a bit more lenient in terms of what they can allow. And they actually have these rolly chairs that you can sit on. That you don't have to sit cross-legged. And especially for safety, and the unions being there, the rolly chairs, if anything, are necessary for in case like they do fall and they can move out of the way.
Yeah.
And when I say
I was
rolly
gonna
chairs,
say,
it's pretty
yeah.
much like a cushion chair, and then pretty much they welded two like four office wheels to the corners. So that's
Yeah.
that's usually what they use.
Got out of the game too quick. Nah, that's definitely a lot better because if not, you're just
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah, it
So-
took me a whole season to get used to that.
When you go to a game, is it like when you're hired per se? And if this is something like that you're not like supposed to disclose, you could just tell me like next question. Like when you're hired, is it like all right, Andreas, you're gonna focus on do they tell you to focus on a certain player? Do they tell you to focus on try to get like some crowd reactions if something big happens, or is it just kind of like, hey man, like we hired you because we trust you, like go do what you do, whatever you capture, we will take it. You know what I mean? Or like, is there you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, it's a good question, and no, with these things, there's no NDA or disclosure that contract I have to sign, like, oh, I can't disclose this information. This is a secret technique of all camera operators. No, it's nothing like that. So I'm more of a freelance and like independent of any union.
Mm-hmm.
And just to like short breakdown is, so I don't usually work in like Barclays or MSG because those are all union places. Because it was built by union, they can only hire union, camera operators, unless like you work in house. But for broadcast shows for CBS, NBC, whatever, they have to hire union operators. And but to directly answer your question, when they hire me, yeah, there is an expectation for what you have to shoot in terms of your position. Like if you're a basket cam, you generally focus on hero shots, where that means whoever scored or whoever was in the the thick of it, of the action, whether it's a foul or a scoring point or something happening with the coaches and the ref. You get in the action and you can usually cut for when the play stops or when the players are coming towards you after they score. Let's say if the opposite basket they score, and because they're running back, their face is towards you, you shoot their face and you get that content.
You get their emotion and you could see through. And
like a phrase that a lot of directors use when they talk to the camera operators. They're like, okay, always faces, because who wants to watch the back of someone's head?
That's a good point.
So that's one of the things that they ask you to do, and it's actually really routine, to be honest. It's very like, oh, basket cams, remember to get me this, this, and this. At the break, get me this. And high cameras, where you're in like the bleachers, you get this play. Or the main camera, as they call the game camera, that I've operated once. It's probably one of the most boring things. You just pan left to right. Left to right.
So the game camera is like the main, like you said, just the whole.
It's the
if it's a basketball,
camera.
It's the whole court. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's usually the guy that's like the most consistent and has like the movement down pat and won't touch the camera at all, because they have, for like the main, I don't know, 80%. I'm just throwing that number out there, but 80% of the game you're just stuck on him, so you can't afford him to lose his feed or get like a hit, get bumped or whatever like that.
Right. That makes sense. That's cool, man. That's such a dope job.
Yeah, and
I do enjoy it. Yeah.
As you're watching games, you don't think about that element, but obviously you have to have those consistent people so that the product is an enjoyable one. Because if you're watching a sports game and somebody goes for a dunk and then they cut to a camera and they're on the other basket, like, who wants to watch that? Like, so there's definitely, they obviously have it down pat. And yeah, it's just cool to it was cool to be there, but it's cool to like kind of break it down and see like why and like different terminology and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's pretty fast paced, and I think it sort of, I don't know for other cam ops, but for me, I don't know, I watch sports differently now. It's like I don't really watch the game that much anymore. I'm like, oh, like,
are you're like you're watching the production more than the sport?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
I mean, like, unless it's a sport that I'm more interested in, I fell off of sports mainly because I don't really have TV anymore. Like I'm one of those cable cutters. I don't really
Nice.
have sports television. If I really want to watch a game, mainly baseball. So if I really want to watch the Yankees, I'll go on Reddit and find like a streaming link and watch them. But pretty much, yeah. I mean, like I really was into basketball a lot earlier, but I don't know. I just fell off it. I do want to get back into it again.
Hey,
but
it's a good time. The Knicks are looking pretty good.
The Knicks are looking
Come
good.
on back,
man.
baby. Come on back.
Come back to the fold.
Sounds good, man. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird for me. To me, it's weird for me to root for the Nets because technically, even though they've been around, but it's like I've always seen them as a Jersey team.
Yep.
So it's a little weird for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Oh damn! I just had a thought. I always do this. I had a thought about the job that I wanted to ask you.
You need to write these things down.
I do, but then if I'm writing, like I want to listen to when he's talking, and if I write, I'm gonna be in my own head, and I'm gonna fucking miss it.
Yeah, and it's gonna go right over your head. We'll give you a second.
No, that's it. Go ahead. If you got
It's okay,
something,
leave it
Chris,
to
you
post
ask it. I fucked this up.
I mean, speaking of a little bit of sports, I mean, if you wanted to stay on the topic of like videos and film and stuff, well, I think it's funny because like all throughout like when I'm being taught in like film school, everyone's like, oh, you're not gonna look at films the same way, and you're not gonna, you're gonna like break it down. And it's weird because like there's times when I do that, but then there's also times when I'm not like doing it 100% of the time. Like there's times when I can actually like kind of suppress that aspect of it and just like watch it for what it is. So I don't know
There's
if
times
like
where you
that's
can
the
turn
same.
it off.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same for
Yeah.
you, Andreas, being that like we went through, curriculum for like actual film.
Yeah. 100% with you there. It's actually, when I first started dating my girlfriend Jacqueline, I was like that, and when we would watch a movie, when we first started dating, she would introduce me to like, rom-coms that she liked, and well, one of the stories that she'll always tell people is that when she introduced me to Serendipity, it was for the longest time I've never watched that movie, and it was like a true like New York rom-com because it was like in the city, they went to Bloomingdale's, Central Park, and that's sort of one of the movies she also fell in love with New York with. But when we were watching it, I had like my film brain on, and it was like, all right, this is gonna happen, that's gonna be brought back at the end. And she's like, how do you know all this? Didn't you say you haven't watched the movie before? I was like, well, it's sort of like screenwriting 101, that everything always has a purpose. Like you're not gonna just show, let's say, for example, you're not just gonna show a Snickers bar on the pavement in the middle of the street for no reason. Someone's gonna come back to it at the end. It's gonna be like, oh, it's the main character's grandfather, his favorite Snicker bar or something. I don't know. It's always gonna be brought back. So in that movie, I was like, yeah, I know, obviously they're gonna get back together again, but these are the elements that will bring them back together. And she's like, that's crazy. I was like, well, I'm not that much into rom-coms, so that's why like when I watch those movies, I'm like, all right, see if I can pick out this or this, or whatever.
Then I also feel like, I mean, as far as rom-coms, they kind of have like, there's a certain level of like anticipation of what is going to happen, Like my mom watches Hallmark movies, and like they're all pretty much like cookie cutter, like the same down to like, everything that's happening. So it's like there's just what's going to happen. So
Of course, yeah. It's what sells. It's what sells.
Exactly. I mean, it's working, so people are watching it. So why switch it? But I think that's funny because there are times when I won't turn it off. Yeah, and I'll try to anticipate it. But then there's like just times when I'm like, I kind of want to go in here like and just enjoy it and see what happens. And I like literally just like turn everything off, and I don't like think. It's when I'm thinking during the movie and not like appreciating it. I think that's when it's more like prevalent. When I'm just like marveling at it, I'm like kind of like let all the brain turn off and just watch it.
Yeah, there are a lot of movies that I do that with, mainly like probably like action, blockbuster, Michael Bay movies, anything like that. But sometimes like I try to force myself to, read into the movie a bit more. Not just rom-coms, but Jacqueline's also into international, more artsy movies. So me watching those movies recently has forced me to, turn to a sort of like a different part of my brain to just critically analyze those films.
So you have a background in film. You currently work in video production. Is there any chance that
Yeah.
you would want to venture into either, I don't know, screenwriting or being a cameraman for movies or television, or do you prefer the sports setting? You know what I mean?
Well, to answer your question, I've always wanted to be in the film industry more heavily. It's just, it's part procrastination, part, just laziness, and, also because TV is just what's giving me money right now. They're the most consistent. I've been trying to network a bit more to see like, what I can do to get into the film industry a bit more, but most of the people I've asked just are like, just do it, just film stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Just write stuff and pitch it to people. Some things not always gonna be the way you want it to look like. It's not always gonna go the way you want it to, but at least you're doing something and you're consistently creating.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually good advice. I mean, because that's what I find myself. I'll start writing something, but I'll just never like completely finish it. And I have probably like 8,000 unfinished, just like maybe like a page or like a couple pages or, maybe 5 pages. But I just never consistently like knock that down. And I'm trying to be more, I'm trying to challenge myself to write more. Like even if it's like a short like piece, I kind of started to do a thing where I've asked a couple people to send me like 10 words, and I'm trying to incorporate it into like a little short.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that more consistent, and then just kind of see like if anything sounds good, if it's just, if it's crappy, just maybe go back to it one day and polish
I'm
it
going to
up.
send you 10 words.
Send me 10 words.
All right, first word, dildo.
Okay, I'll work it in there. As long as it's not like the or of, because those are pretty much going to be in every screenplay at some capacity. Like, give me actual words of substance.
Yeah, it's that's what I've heard too. Just writing is hard, and I think, people have just told me stick with it. As hard of a grind as it is, just keep writing. Even if it's trash, just get better. Just keep writing, and have people critique it and be open to criticism. I'm really just learning on that right now, is being open to be criticized, because that's the only way you're gonna learn. And that's how I learned in TV. Some director just shouting in my face like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was baptism by fire, to say the least, when I first got into TV. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, you stuck with it. Good for you. What the fuck are
pays
you
the bills.
doing? I'm trying my goddamn best. That's what I'm doing. Okay, pal?
Yeah, but when it's all said and done, like, in the production, it's like, fuck you, no, fuck you. Like, no, get this shit done. And then when it's over, when the game's over, everyone's like, yo, good show, man. It's all good. All right, you want to get a beer? It's all like, it's short-term memory. It's done.
Yeah,
Game is done.
for that
Why
moment.
worry about it?
Yeah, I've heard that before, is that you can't take it
Personally.
personal, and you can't latch onto it like that.
No, you can't. It's just going to eat at you for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
speaking
that's
of
true.
like being the film, this is kind of like the topic that we wanted to get on. I'll say right now, the movie we wanted to talk about. If you haven't seen it, there'll probably be some spoilers ahead. So, if you want to just keep with it, we just want to let you know that there might be spoilers. So, we wanted to talk about Tenet, Christopher Nolan, another, in my opinion, phenomenal movie. So yeah, if you want to take it away, Andreas, or do you want to lead it at all, or do you want me to go?
Let's. I think, yeah. Let's have you guys, since you guys, this is your, uh, your podcast, your floor. Why don't you sort of give me your impressions of it, and then I'll sort of feed off of that.
All right, sounds good. So, I mean, being that like Christopher Nolan's like my favorite director, like I wanted to basically, like, I was pumped to see this movie. I was kind of mad, obviously, when you know all of the COVID happened and like you could see it in theaters, but I just chose not to. So, yeah, I just kind of eventually got around to seeing it. I was like pushing off, and I was like, you know what, let me just buy it. So I bought it on Apple TV and I threw it on. My other friend Adam told me basically like go like check it out. Like he had watched it like a day or two before, and I was like, you know what, let me just fucking do it. So yeah, I mean, the first time I watched it, I was basically and like he basically told me like, pay attention. So I went into it like kind of like threw my phone away and let me just put my full attention to it because Christopher Nolan has a way of just being like very detail orientated. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like even the first go around and I didn't understand everything completely. It was still like a phenomenal movie, and I just had to like kind of hunker down and like do some research and yeah, and like I watched it a bunch more times since. Even I'd watch like a couple spurts, being that it's a little bit longer of a movie, and then
Yeah.
I've watched it a couple more times like fully through. But yeah, what about you, Steve?
I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot in the room, but like for a good portion of the movie, I'm like, the fuck is going on? Like, obviously, they lay the plot like he's trying to. It unfolds, like he's trying to stop. He gets the code word Tenet, and then he's trying to unlock doors, and he doesn't really know what he's unlocking, and then you understand, and but it's like there's times where like if I feel like if you're not sitting there with a remote and you have the ability to rewind something to catch the dialogue really quick. And first of all, I put the subtitles on because there's times where like they're all messed up and you can kind of like barely make out what they're saying. I was like, I got to read this because again, Chris was like, pay attention. I was like, all right, so if I can't hear what you're saying, I maybe I'm missing something. So there's a couple times where I rewound it. I'm like, let me just make sure I'm catching the dialogue right to fucking pay attention to this, which I think that's what Christopher Nolan kind of was going for. Like, he wants you to like get to the end of it and be like, oh shit, and then restart it. Sorry, and then restart it and do it and watch it. It's the second time you watch the movie is going to be completely from the first time you watch the movie because now you have all the information on the back end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From
You catch things more.
I'll tell you what, I thought it was a unique spin on like time travel, basically, where instead of like time travel in other movies, whether it's like Endgame or Back to the Future, it's like you pick a date and time and you just pop up there and then you can leave there and go to the other, you can just kind of like insert yourself where you want in the timeline, where this is like you have to travel back through it. You know what I mean? You can't just like pop up and whenever you want.
Yeah.
Which I thought was neat. And then like once you get to details that Robert Pattinson's character is more or less like going backwards almost through the whole movie, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And I like the theory that the girl's kid is actually Robert Pattinson. Neil is actually Max, I think the kid's name was.
Yeah.
I guess there's no like real hard proof within the movie to prove it, but I like that theory, so I'm going with that. That makes me feel good inside.
It's not that far of a stretch, you know. It's believable, right? You know, with with the protagonist, like, you know, as you know, that's his character name anyway. So the protagonist's relationship with I forgot her name, but the actress Kat, yeah. Their relationship, you know, it makes total sense. And you know, to be honest, it's not your fault that you couldn't hear jack shit, because everyone's main qualm with this movie at the beginning when it first came out was the sound mixing is horrible. And I was like, you know, do we really want to bash on this guy? Like, this was a pretty big budget movie. I don't know, like, you know, I felt bad, like, you know, bashing on the guy who mixed it and also the guy who made the music for it. But I also read an article, I don't quote me on it, but it was because the guy who mixed the movie for the sound, he mixed it all on Apple earphones because of COVID. They did everything remotely. So like when they were editing this, it was all like, you know, during COVID, and, you know, they just, you know, didn't have that. I guess he didn't have access to like a proper mixing room or headphones. I don't know. But they blamed it on COVID. You know, I'm not going to blame them too much on it, but yeah, you have to be active on your volume control when you're watching this movie, when they're having conversations. But yeah, it was interesting. This movie,
I read
had to
somewhere
watch
that
it like two times.
I read somewhere that Christopher Nolan said, like, people are just afraid to take chances with sound in movies, is one thing that he said. Which, I mean, he has. I mean, like this. I mean, whatever the cause was for, you know, like you said, if it was COVID, if they couldn't get the right materials and they're on a deadline and the guy just had to fucking get it done, whatever. I mean, so be it. But I know, like, you know, remember there was a lot of backlash with Batman when he made Bane's voice. A lot of people were like,
yeah,
really taken back by that. So I feel like he's always had a history of, like, as far as like, he's got a history with a bunch of things with his movies, and one is like time. He uses time a lot in a lot of his movies.
Loves time.
Two is like taking chances and doing different things with audio. But I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. I mean, I listened to it on like a sound bar, not like with a full. You know, I could only imagine if it was in a movie theater where you have because it's a pretty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of action going on, so there's gonna be a lot of low end. You would think a lot of bass, a lot of explosions, gunfire. So, but like in a movie like that, like where it's very detail oriented, and you have to listen like as it's being explained to the character. You know, like. You know, I forget what they call it, but when you go through this thing, and if you don't see yourself on the other side, you might as well not go through. Like, that's being explained to the audience as well. So I made sure you got to make sure like that is clear, and they can hear that and they get that, because it plays a key role in the rest of the movie, and so on and so forth with other things. But
yeah, it being that this is like a movie where they're basically explaining the plot to you in actual like dialogue.
In real time.
Yeah, and in dialogue, like you have to hear what they're saying. And if you can't hear it, then obviously, you have to go back and watch.
Yeah, don't take a risk there, Nolan. Like we can't take a risk on dialogue. We need to know what you're explaining here. We know this is an important movie to you. So
it's funny,
try and let us understand it.
I heard that he took like 5 years to write it.
Yeah, it was just short. Like Inception was longer, but this was probably like right. Or like close to it, where like it took him a while to get this concept, because
Nolan wrote the movie.
Guys, like,
there's so many different parts.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys like looked into it, but it was like based on the Sator Square.
Yes, I did look into that.
Like this tablet that they had found, and all the names that are in the movie, it
on
goes
the square.
Yeah, it's spelled every single way. So sort of that play on time and the way things go forward and go backward, it's pretty interesting. And also, like you said, the sound, that like these detail oriented things, I didn't pick it up the first time. Jacqueline did. I watched it with her. I didn't have the sound bar. I just watched it off of TV, shut all the lights off, and cranked it as loud as it could. But at the end scene where like all the action is happening, where they're at Stock 12 or something, where they're trying to pretty much get the bomb, and they're like going underground. I didn't crank it up loud enough, but Jacqueline heard it. The soundtrack was being played backwards. Like at times when they were going forwards and you could see people going backwards. Yeah. The soundtrack was also going backwards. I didn't catch that. I didn't catch it the first time either, but like you said, there are a lot of details in this movie that can be missed easily.
Yeah, and there's a color scheme too. There's like the blue and the red. That separates like the timelines and what's going backwards and what's going forwards.
I knew there's gonna be details. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, I know just from Nolan, from his previous movies, I know there's gonna be details that you're never gonna catch on the first thing. The only reason I know that is because like in the last like time-based movie that I watched with him was Interstellar, which is one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
But have you seen that movie, Andreas?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I think I like.
So when they're on, with Interstellar, the one planet that they go to, like the first one, it's like the water planet, and they say like every year or every hour on this planet is like 7 or like 3 years on Earth, or I forget what the math was, the time relativity from there. Yeah. But if you actually sat there and from what they say and you broke down the math, the soundtrack when they're on that planet, there's a ticking noise in the soundtrack, and that is to establish for every minute that's going by or every second is like a day. So for every tick you hear on that planet is like a day going by on Earth. And no one knew that until they broke down the math of what it equates to. But I know he hides like little things like that in like his movies. Like you just said, like the soundtrack playing backwards. Like he'll do it. There's so many. That's why I love him as a filmmaker, because he puts all these little things in here that, they're not just to do it for a special effect. Like it almost like serves a purpose. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, he's very detail oriented. Very detail. I thought it was funny because like the first time I watched it, during the art gallery scene when they're trying to steal the art piece, when both characters came out of the turnstile, I thought at first that the protagonist character was fighting himself, and then I thought Neil's character was fighting Neil, like somehow. Yeah. Because I thought, they're both fighting each other's whatever, like counterpart, and then find out later on that it's actually just the protagonist in both scenes, and that's kind of like why once he like reveals himself, that's why he lets him go and stuff. And
so they can't see each other, right? Is that what it is, or they can't touch each other? If your current what do they call it? What do they call it when you're going backwards through time?
Inverted.
The inversion.
Inverted. Thank you.
Yeah, inverted.
Your inverted self can't see your regular self, right? Or else it'll be like, I don't know, you'll like disappear or something, or you'll blow up. They kind of phrased it as something like that.
I think it was something like that.
But if you're covered up, if you don't know it's you, then everything's fine. It'll work out, right? That's like the logic they applied behind it.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's almost like the butterfly effect, but kind of like different, where it's like, instead of like changing something, it's like more like, if you see yourself, I guess, is when the problems happen, or if you touch it. Yeah. I thought it was actually kind of funny too, like out of all of the words on the Seder Square, like Tenet is the one that is the same forwards and backwards.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a great way.
It's pretty much it's the center of it all.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a good word to use as the title. And like it's just, I don't know, it's cool that you can use something like that and then come up with this whole elaborate movie. Like, I mean, you can obviously, like you say, you could get inspiration from anywhere, but Like that's really like
Yeah.
using something that probably a lot of people wouldn't think about even like using. Then even just I think it's funny that there's a Nolan likes to start off movies with with like robberies and and like
Yeah, he has a style. It's just, if you the beginning of, Dark Knight and this
Mhm.
movie's complete, it's almost like the same. Like it's
Yeah.
just and
I'm
his
so happy
and
you
his
said
color
that.
palette.
but
His color
it does
palette is the same.
it's not like where it's like it takes a little bit of time for the action, the action's right there, so it draws you in. So I think it's like a good formula to use because you're at an opera and most people be like, oh shit, this is gonna be boring, and then like a minute in you're like, okay, here we go, let's go.
Yeah.
It grasps your attention really quick.
Well, I thought it was really cool, like how what is that tablet called? I forget what
The Seder Square.
Seder Square. Thank you. Like there's so much in that, and then the whole movie with Tenet being the center of that. It's all, what do they call it?
Palindromic square.
Is it?
A palindrome. Thank you. Something that's spelled the same way it is forward as it is backwards. Is the
Mhm.
movie is like the whole movie's a palindrome basically too. Because I feel like it gets to a certain point where like they go through the car crash and she gets shot. And then that's, if you're like spelling the word Tenet, like that's like the end. And then he reverses and then they go back through it. And then you're going back the same way through the movie, reliving all the events in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like going through they're putting themselves in a loop to save the world, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, it still spins my head when I think about it too much. Sometimes, like when I'm like, just like walking, but that part where, when she gets shot, when you see him go back through all the events backwards.
Yeah.
When they're trying to save her life because she got shot backwards, so they have to put her back inside.
Yeah.
I constantly think about like how is that possible, or like how are the events going backwards, correlate to what I just saw. God bless you.
Thank you.
So I was trying to like, oh, like how did he go backwards and know that he tossed the that artifact into a different car, and like that whole car chase scene. After like the second time watching it, I'm like thinking about that scene. It's like trying to go through everything going backwards in my head, trying to figure it out. But it just gets me in a dark spiral. But that's sort of one of the things I enjoy about this movie.
I think it's funny because Seder, the character Seder, like basically being that he already he knows things about the future and everything. He just basically like walks right into the main character, the protagonist, and then like there's always little bits of like that they're like that he's flaking out about, like like knowing about the future, like there's little details that he says about it, and then it's just really cool that like he like grabs the last piece kind of of the what is it, the artifact, is that what they call it? I forget. Or the,
no, I just used that word, but I know it's like
they called it something. I forget exactly what it was.
The thing they construct at the end that can end the world?
Yeah.
That? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They had a name for it. And then the this is one of the movies where I did like turn off the film brain. So when you see Kat's character jumping off the boat, the yacht, like I didn't think that it was her, and then at the end of the movie you kind of like realize that. But it was it's cool because like in the mind of like that, she sees this woman jumping off and like she probably immediately thinks like, oh, like he's cheating on me and stuff like that and all this other dark things, and when it's in reality it's actually just her.
Yeah, as soon as I saw them start heading to sorry to cut you off, but as soon as I started seeing her and I forgot the Indian guy's name, but as soon as I saw them on the boat heading to that boat, I was like, yeah, it's her. Like I like sort of connected. I was like, all right, I guess that this is the loop. This is the loop now.
Yeah.
They specifically shot some frames in a certain way too, because like at a certain point through the movie where she's like walking her son, you see him like sitting in a car, like watching there, right? And then at the end, it's that. So it looks like he's sitting in a driver's seat of a car,
Yeah.
sitting there like kind of stalking her, but they don't actually show the wheel. But it just kind of look. You would assume because he's in the car by himself. So why the fuck would you be sitting in the back seat? So then,
Yeah.
But then at the end, it gets revealed that he is sitting in the back seat behind the woman, the woman with the gray hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay. So in that scene, that was his current self, that was his inverted self. And like, but they purposely didn't show, I don't know, I feel like it was shot purposely to make you just assume he's in the front seat, this is current time, when in reality that was the, back then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I was watching a YouTube video, they said at the end, when they're doing that whole battle sequence and stuff, that there's 4 Neils in that moment.
Yeah.
On that battlefield. There's 4 of him going on at one time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things to unpack in this movie, and so many theories. It's just pretty crazy how deep you can go in this movie.
I think it was really awesome to see it shot, especially like that fight scene, like shot you see it play out, the whole thing, and then they go out and show you the whole thing again, but in the inverted way. And it's just like a cool, it's just really cool to see it's kind of like a shift in perspective. And it's just, I don't know. I enjoyed that because
it's hard to wrap your mind around the logic.
Yeah.
Like when because
Yeah.
like again, I was reading. This is where I was watching a view, and it's hard to because everything like in our world, let's say going forward, is cause and effect.
Yeah.
And then going backwards, it has to be effect and cause. So they were saying at the end, like where Neil gets shot because of the door.
Yeah.
That's what you find out. They're saying if you actually like apply the logic to it, Neil's the one who closed the door and then locked it because that's his going forward. So then if you flip time, it's him unlocking the door and then opening it. Mm-hmm. So that you know what I mean? So it's really hard to like constantly wrap your mind around like, all right, so this guy, if I'm going forward and this door just unlocked and closed, that means on his end he closed and then locked it. You know what I mean? Like it all plays back I don't know. It's a mind fuck for me.
No, that's exactly what I was talking about before. Just in a constant, just like, what's going on? Like, how did this happen? How is this supposed to make sense? Just, I think I spent an hour just looking at a wall, just trying to think of this movie.
I wonder if they really have those things in real life, though, that can like invert time.
Change the
Who
entropy
knows?
of it.
We'll probably not be the first ones to know about it. It's probably already going on. We don't know.
Yeah, and if it hasn't started, somebody's probably trying to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, Elon Musk.
Yeah, right.
Probably.
I thought it was actually pretty cool too that Nolan used a real airplane for that scene.
Yeah, because we just have money coming out of our ass. Might as well just let's just get a whole real plane and crash it in there.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right? You guys using this airport? No? All right, cool. We're going to crash a plane into it. Wait, what?
Yeah,
like
that.
like
Warner Brothers weren't happy about, how much this movie cost to make and COVID happening. They were not happy.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
What's funny is I like when they did that and they got to the time machine. I forget the name of it. I'm just gonna call it time machine. Yeah, in the airport, and they were like, "Well, we need another one. Like, there's like, well, there's one in the airport." I'm like, "That's impenetrable." And Robert Pattinson's like, "It wasn't 2 days ago."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just like in passing, like, "Oh, it wasn't 2 days ago." I was like, "Wow, what a dick."
I think Robert Pattinson and John David Washington did a fucking awesome job. Just like little. All right, and also, fight sequences in this movie I thought were like really fucking phenomenal. When the protagonist went in the back of the kitchen and he just like, he gets
Oh,
fucking
dude, that cheese
punched.
grater? That cheese
my
grater?
God.
Yo,
Oh my
cheese grater.
that made me cringe.
Yeah, it did.
That
it really
made
did.
me cringe.
It really did. But like, that's something where I'd have to commend the sound mixing, because every punch just sounded like it fucking hit so hard, and he just like
Yeah.
went into it like just nonchalant until like he was actually connecting. Like he was just like walking up like, nothing, and then boom, like each punch, and just everything was so calculated. And I think it's funny because like, yeah, I mean, in the end, he turns out to be like the person who, like knows everything and recruited everything, but like,
I think I was more
It
impressed
was so
with...
calculated because he knew what was gonna happen.
yeah,
He's
but like
been there before.
you don't know his past per se, but like obviously he has to be some sort of badass just to like kick the shit out of like 8 people.
I was more impressed with how he had to learn how to fight backwards.
Yeah,
Because apparently it wasn't like shot backwards and played backwards. It was like you have to learn how to fight and jump backwards and all these like stunts.
I thought it was funny driving the car. You don't, when you're
Yeah.
starting it, it's like
So weird.
Oh man.
I don't know, man. Christopher Nolan's something else. I mean,
Well,
just seeing his rep.
I actually didn't know. Sorry, I didn't know he was Denzel's son for the longest time.
Oh, gotcha.
What, the main the protagonist is who?
Yeah, Denzel's son.
That's Denzel Washington's son?
Yeah.
Oh no shit. I didn't know that.
Fucking,
I didn't know either.
Wow.
he's
Wow.
fucking. He's a good actor too. I have to watch the movie that just came out on Netflix with him and Zendaya, but it looks pretty intense.
Also, just a forewarning, guys. I think my internet's a little shoddy here, so there might be some lag on the recording.
Okay.
That's all right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we also have like the separate, like we record too, so we kind of get the how it is right now as like a backup just in case something happens. So we good. But
Cool, man.
I'm kind of like, I don't know if he has anything in the works, but I'm anticipating what he comes up with next, because his past and has been he's been hitting. I mean, does Christopher Nolan miss? I'd say no. I'd venture to say no.
Yeah. I mean, they've all been pretty good. I mean, some stand out a bit more than the others, but they've all been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Batman ones are easy to, I guess, pick out that people like because it's Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Memento. That's another one I gotta see of his.
Even back then,
Yeah,
that was like
definitely go see that.
yeah, it was a
That was a mindfuck of a movie too.
yeah, exactly. He's always loved to fuck with your mind.
Oh, I didn't realize The Prestige was him too.
Dunkirk was good.
Yeah.
The sound in Dunkirk was awesome. I really wish I would have saw it in the theater too. And that's funny because that's one where like everyone praised the sound in that one.
Yeah, Dunkirk had. I haven't seen it, but everyone said that the sound was really great in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I watched Dunkirk in I watched in IMAX. The sound was, man, I found it like really amazing that, that movie didn't have that much dialogue and was so like effective and powerful.
I think it's funny because like he loves to use Tom Hardy with like not a lot of lines and stuff, just more powerful stuff. And Tom Hardy's really good at not using his voice and just using like, little like sound effects or like grunts and stuff like that as his way of
Use a lot of body language.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, whoever does the casting for his movie is very fucking good. I don't know if he has one person. I have to look into that, or if he does.
I'm sure it's someone that he works closely with, and they
Yeah.
have sort of like the same vision, something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I feel like he's like Quentin Tarantino, where Quentin Tarantino's got like his gang of guys that he can just kind of call, like, "Hey, I'm making a movie. I'm thinking of you for this." And Leo's like, "I'm in." Sam Jackson's like, "I'm in." You
Right.
know, or Christopher Nolan's like, "Hey, Leo, I got a movie working. Hey, Tom Hardy."
Yeah.
And they're like, "All right, yeah, fuck it, I'm in." Like,
I was so happy when I saw Michael Caine too. I was
Michael
like,
Keaton,
yes,
yeah, he's another
yes,
one. Michael
yes.
Keaton.
He's in like
Yeah.
every Christopher Nolan
Yeah.
movie. I was like, he was in there for so short, but it was so worth it. I literally just smiled at that moment.
I was like, Alfred?
Yeah,
The
right.
fuck.
Imagine.
Yeah, my first word out of my mouth was, of course, like, you know,
Yeah, I know,
who else would it be?
And it's great because he also like puts those little like sprinkles where like, you know, their name is not on like the poster, so it's like a little cameo
Yeah.
that you just get, and that's what happened in Interstellar with Matt Damon. The first time I saw Matt Damon, we were like, "What the fuck? Like, what are you doing in this movie?
I was like, am I watching
Yeah.
The Martian now, or am I watching Interstellar?
You're a
What
star
fucking movie
without
I'm
any
watching?
credit. Like, come on, who does this? Oh, Christopher Nolan, you."
I think with Matt Damon, it's like, oh, it's Christopher Nolan. Oh, fuck it, yeah, sure. I have a couple minutes out of my day. I'll do a short bit.
Right? Like,
I'll
yo,
be the dick.
let me tell you something. We need you for 2 hours. Can you make it? I'm already there.
Listen, here it is. You need it for 2 hours. You're gonna try to kill Matthew McConaughey in space. All right, I'm in. Sold.
All you had to say was Matthew McConaughey, and I'm in.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. I'll be there. Man's gorgeous.
Oh man. But yeah.
All right, fellas. We're coming up on an hour here.
Yes,
Any
yes,
closing thoughts?
Good question.
I'll tell you what, Andreas, I enjoyed talking film with you and talking movies. So we're going to make a segment. It won't be on every podcast, but if we ever do like a movie review, we're going to include you.
Do you know what's really funny?
Is that okay?
Do you know what's really funny? I just have to butt in because he texted me this, and I totally
Do
forgot
it.
to even to text that to you. So you both had those same ideas without me even interfering. So it's obviously a done deal now.
Who
Yeah,
texted you
We'll
what?
do it. We'll do. I did. Yeah.
Andreas, text me next time, all right? Go
Yeah.
through me. All right?
Because I have these thoughts, or I have these things that I think I do, and then I don't realize I don't do them,
Yeah.
and my brain just shuts it all out.
He's too
Yeah, we'll do
focused
like
on
I don't know,
food.
like a film club or something. I don't know, food film club or something. We'll do a movie review as we eat. I don't know, since I'm in Florida, a Cuban sandwich or something like that.
Ooh. See, now you're talking my language. Film and food. Let's go.
You're going to be our resident
Film.
critic.
Yep.
Or reviewer. That's
Yep.
what you're solidified. You're part of the crew now. You're in.
We'll label it critic without credentials. Let's say that.
That's perfect.
Hey, that fits this show fucking perfectly, okay?
Yeah.
We are the two last people that should be hosting a podcast, so that works great.
Perfectly.
I dig it. I dig it, guys.
So,
No, we definitely appreciate you having. We appreciate you being on. And it was definitely dope to talk Tenet with you because that's been on my mind for the last week and a half when I watched it.
yeah. Nice to meet you. I've played COD with you before, but I've never
Yeah.
actually, kind of seen you.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It's good to, kick back and, just chill and talk, to talk about daily stuff, movies, that's what I like talking about. And, you guys are both, cool guys that, understand and don't take things too seriously. That's why I like to talk about.
Mm-hmm. And I just got to point out, I'm a little jealous of you right now being in Tampa, being that it is fucking snowing here again.
Yeah, I heard. I think I just missed that, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
Like,
I know you said you're a cable cutter and you don't really watch sports anymore, but I mean, go out and enjoy the Super Bowl festivities, even
if you
it
can,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. Obviously,
And-
be safe. Wear a mask. 6 feet.
And
But go enjoy yourself.
enjoy the shoot. If you haven't shot right yet, you're about to.
No, we're just doing like technical stuff and setting up computers and all that stuff.
Well,
This stuff is not even really too much shooting, but yeah.
Gotcha. Well, definitely
don't know-
enjoy that. Hope it goes seamlessly. I know that's sometimes there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Thank you.
Especially with me trying to like stream. I figured out a lot of frustration goes into it, because if you can't figure out why something's not working, it's fucking infuriating. So I hope it all the best.
Listen, I
Thank
don't know
you,
how long
thank
you're
you.
in Tampa for, but if you're hungry, look up Hot Off the Press.
Yes.
It's got
Yes.
slamming food. It's a food truck. Go check it
Yes.
out if you're down there. No, long enough.
Hot off the press,
Absolutely.
food truck.
Yes.
You know.
I'll send you a link.
Those are like
I'll send you a link.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right. Appreciate it, Andreas. Have a great rest of your day. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Peace.
Take
Peace
care.
and grace.
Peace.